Good morning, everyone. Good to be here. My name is Liraz Zeira. I work with Rabbi Goldberg here in Chabad of Rechavia. It's a great pleasure to be here with you this morning. The title we chose for today was Come Meet the King. And the reason for it is because we are now in the month of Elul. The month of Elul is a very, very special month. But as opposed to other dates in the Jewish calendar, where it's very easy to spot, to point exactly what's so special about this day. For instance, if we go to Rosh Hashanah and we know this is the day we give Hashem the power to be a king upon us. We ask him to be our king. Or if we look at Yom Kippur, it's the day we ask for Hashem for remorse. We come to Simchas Torah, it's the day we have Simcha for the entire year. The whole week of Sukkot is a week where we have Simcha for the entire year. And on. Every date in the Jewish calendar has a special meaning. Has something that Hashem gives us that we can take from that date. And in essence, maybe saying it will be that we have many Rosh Hashanahs. There's Rosh Hashanah for Simcha, there's Rosh Hashanah for remorse, Rosh Hashanah for Yira. We have many different Rosh Hashanahs, many different days where we can utilize them to earn something. But what is Elul? What's the meaning of Elul? We know Elul is a very special month. If you're Sephardic, then you probably have already started saying Slichas, waking up early in the morning or late at night and saying Slichot. Why? What's so special about this month? So the Alter Rebbe, the first Rebbe of Chabad, says that the meaning of Elul, there's a few initials for the word Elul. But the initial that the Alter Rebbe is using in this time is Elul is Ani Ledodi Vedodi Li. What's Ani Ledodi Vedodi Li? I am to my loved one is to me. This is a pasuk from Shir Hashirim, the greatest love song ever wrote, talking about the love between Hashem and us, the nation of Israel. But there's many different ways in Shir Hashirim where this love, where this relationship is being described. There's two psukim that even look as if they're contradicting. One says, as we said, Ani ledodi, vedodi li, I am to my loved one, and my loved one afterward is to me. The second pasuk says, the other way around, says, Dodi li, my uncle is to me, and only then, V'ani lo. So it's the other way around. And there are some times, for instance, when we talk about the month of Nisan, the month of Pesach, the month of Geula of Am Yisrael, there it says that month is Dodi li V'ani lo. Hashem first took us out of Egypt. We were slaves. We looked like Egyptians. We worshipped Avodah Zarah, Hashem Yerachem. We looked just like them, as we say in the beginning of the Haggadah, Halalu of the Avodah Zarah, V'halalu of the Avodah Zarah. The Egyptians worshipped idols, and so did Am Yisrael. It's very hard to tell apart. The only reason why we could be taken out of Egypt is because Hashem first, He came first, and He took us out of Egypt. And only then, afterwards, we said, okay, we want to do it as well. We want to go towards you. But He started first. He did the first step. It's always an argument between two people, or between the nation of Israel and Am Yisrael. It's always an argument. Who is going to be first? When you try and do peace with two people, with two nations, two organizations, there's always the argument, who is going to start? Who's going to do the first step forward towards the other person? And it's also this argument is also between the nation of Israel and Hashem. We say, Hashiveinu Hashem elecha v'nashuva. Bring us back home, and then we will come back as well. You start, bring us back. And Hashem says, Shuvu elai banim shovim. You should start first. You should come first. Always these two movements. Who is going to start? Should I do the first gesture? Or is the other person going to do it? So the Alter Rebbe chooses to tell us that Elul is, first of all, ani ledodi, and only then dodili. I have to do the first step. In this time of the year. In Nisan, Hashem does the first step. In Elul, we do the first step. We have to march out. Why is it this way? So interestingly enough, the initials of Elul are, of this pasuk is ani ledodi v'dodili. But the last letters of each word of this pasuk, if you collect the last letters of ani ledodi v'dodili, you have 4 times the letter Yud. Yud stands for a numerical value of 10. If you have 4 times 10, it's 40. What's 40? The 40 days starting from Rosh Chodesh Elul till Yom Kippur. What's these 40 days? It's the 40 days that Moshe Rabbeinu spent going up the mountain, going on Mount Sinai, Har Sinai, to ask for Hashem for forgiveness for us. And the last day was Yom Kippur, and Hashem said, Salachti kidvarecha. Hashem forgave us. That's the reason we celebrate Yom Kippur, the date we celebrate it. So what are these 40 days? Why are they so special? And why is it's a time for us to stand forward? For us is the first step, and not for Hashem. So in order for us to understand this, in order for us to understand why should we do the first step, in order for us to understand what's the difference between this month and the month of Tishrei, for instance, the month of Nisan. So the Alter Rebbe brings us a mashal. He tells us a story. And from that story, we're going to learn and understand what Elul is all about. And it's a beautiful story. It's a beautiful concept that the Alter Rebbe is giving us. And it's his. He made this mashal. No one before him. Everyone has been using it. Hamelech Basadeh, the king is in the field. The very known mashal. Alter Rebbe is the first one to bring it. And he says this way. It's like a king. Mashal lemelech. Shekodem ba'ol ha'ir. Like a king. Before he comes to the city. Yotzim anshei ha'ir likrato. The people of the city come out towards him. When the king is there, it's before he's in the city, he's in the gates. Or nowadays, instead of a field, in Hebrew, it's Sdeh Teufa. Sdeh Teufa is the same word as Sadeh. It's an airport. So when a king is coming to visit a place, or he's coming back home, where do you meet him? So you're going to the field. Or nowadays, you go to the airport to visit him when he's landing. And he's landing there. And he's in the airport, and people are congratulating him for landing, saying Shalom Aleichem. And this is a very good opportunity. I don't know if you remember, a few years ago, President Trump was visiting here, the first visit to Eretz Yisrael, and there was a whole line of important people who came to visit him. But not only so important people came. There were some people in the line that came to visit him that no one really knew who they were. Just people who came. So one of these people who was a Chaver Knesset back then, his name was Oren Chazan, and he was standing there in line. No one really knew what he was doing there. Not all the Chaver Knesset were there, but he was standing there. When President Trump was going by, he took out his phone and he asked President Trump to do a selfie with him. It made a lot of noise. Selfie in the middle of a formal meeting, but President Trump had no problem. He did the selfie together. That Rebbe is telling us something interesting. He says when the king is coming to visit, when he's on his way to the palace, he's not in the palace yet. He's just going inside. He's just doing his first step towards the city. Something special happens. What happens? We have an opportunity, a special opportunity, to go and approach the king, to go and say to the king, hello, king, this is me, Shalom Aleichem, this is Liraz Zeira, how are you doing? I want to get closer to you. I want to get to know you. I want you to get to know me. What can I help you? Or I need this. I need that. But why is it such a special time? Because when Hashem is in the field, when the king is not inside his city, not inside his palace, then it's not so formal. When he's going back into the palace, the words of the Alter Rebbe says, when the king is in the field, he shows a smiley face to everyone who comes to greet him. The Mashal says, Panim sochakot, laughing face, smiling face. Interesting, the Rebbe always used, not always, but most of the time the Rebbe used, instead of saying sochakot, with a sin, the Rebbe used the word shochakot, which is the same letter, shin instead of sin, but the meaning is very changing. It's changing. Why? Shochakot is when something grinds you. Ishchok, to grind something. So one of the Hasidim, our generation, his name was Reuven Dunin, tried to explain it once. He said that when a Rebbe smiles at you, he can just change you totally. You're not the same person as you was before. A smile. I'm not even talking about a non-happy face. A smiling face could change the way you are. The only thing you need to do is step out forward. Step out towards the king and tell him, I'm here. And he's going to show you, sometimes it's if you live in Yerushalayim like we do, you know that approaching the king, even approaching the prime minister here in Israel, not simple. You just try and approach. There's going to be a security guy. He's going to block you. Maybe they're even going to take you to the police station to inquire, why did you get closer to the king? But when the king is in the field, tells us, don't worry, he's going to smile at you. If you approach him, he's going to show you open arms and tell you you're welcome in. This is the special meaning of this month of Elul. The month of Elul is, on one hand, there's no holidays in it, no special dates. It's a regular, mundane day. Every day here is a regular day. That's only how it seems. If you're a wise person and you have the opportunity of stepping out and walking towards the king, because the king is very close. Karov Hashem lechol korav, lechol asher yikreu be'emet. This time, the days of Elul, Hashem is closer to us. But there's a trick. He's closer. He's easier to approach. But he's not wearing his regular clothes. And that's a trick. Because the king doesn't look like a king in Elul. Once Rosh Hashanah arrives, the king looks like a king. The king is in his palace. He's wearing his throne. He's sitting inside the palace on Kiseh malchuto. And that's why we change the words in our davening in the 10 first days of Tishrei, Aseret Yemei Tshuva. We change the words of davening, and we say, instead of Hakel HaKadosh, we say HaMelech HaKadosh, the Holy King. We say the words that remind us that He is a king, remind Him that He's a king. Why? Because in those days you can see that He's a king. And therefore, says the Alter Rebbe, it's harder to get to Him because He's in the palace. Only special people can go to the palace, and even they have to have an appointment long before, and they have to prepare themselves, and they have to wear the right clothes. In Elul, everyone can approach. Everyone can just go to the king and tell him, I'm here. But Hashem, the king, isn't helping us do it. He's waiting for us to do it. But Baruch Hashem, we have the Alter Rebbe's mashal. We have this story to understand and to let us know that we shouldn't be foolish. We should go out towards the king, towards Hashem, and tell him we want to be closer to you. Even though it's a mundane day, and Elul, you can sometimes, because of you have work, and you have an everyday job to do. It's not like a holiday where you have to stop everything and wear your white clothes and light candles. No, it's an everyday day. We have to make sure that we stop on the month of Elul. We stop, and we add a bit more Tehillim. There's a Tehillim that we have from the Baal Shem Tov, adding every day 3 chapters of Tehillim. Towards Yom Kippur, we finish the entire Sefer Tehillim. We should add more and more things. We blow the shofar every morning. It's not a halacha, it's a minhag. We do it. We understand we have to do things to awaken ourselves. We have to do things to get closer to the king. Not because we have to, because we want to, because we know this is the time to do it. Hashem is closer now. It's our chance to get acquainted with Hashem, to be familiar with Hashem. By doing that, Alter Rebbe said something amazing. By getting closer to Hashem and Elul, when Rosh Hashanah comes, when Yom Kippur comes, the high holidays, where Hashem is a bit harder to get because He's in this palace. Not everyone can reach the palace. Tells us the Alter Rebbe, but now, because you came closer to Hashem and Elul, because you did tshuva and Elul, you tried to look how to fix your ways, how to change your ways, how to get closer to Hashem and Elul. When Rosh Hashanah comes, you're going to be a special person already. You're going to be someone that is a friend with the king. Ah, the king? He's my friend. Tell him the guy from Elul came. Oh, the guy from Elul. Liraz, how you doing? Come. You're a friend of the king. You can enter the palace. We should use these days, the days of Elul, the special days, to change our ways. Step by step. Taking upon ourselves small things, change our days. A few more chapters of Tehillim, adding a bit more of the kavanah, the right thoughts in the davening, not just mumbling the words, understanding what we're saying, connecting more to Hashem. Add a few more coins to tzedakah. Could be virtual coins. Now you can go on a link and donate there, or you can actually use an actual pushka. Is maybe try and look through your neighbors and see if they need help. Thinking more about Geula, about Mashiach coming. Many, many different things we can do to change our day. Doesn't really matter what, as long as we change, as long as we march towards Hashem and we go into the field to greet Him. Even though it's not written anywhere, there's no halacha, we have to. We do it because we want to get closer to Hashem. because we are wise and we know even though Hashem isn't wearing the king isn't wearing his formal clothes, but I know he's the king, and I want to approach him. So I want to thank, first of all, Rabbi Goldberg for giving the opportunity of getting closer to Hashem by giving this morning shiur, this bite-sized shiur. And by getting closer, by doing this, we get closer to Hashem. So I hope it was understandable, and we should meet face to face and not just Zoom to Zoom, not just Facebook. Here in Yerushalayim, with the king in the palace, not just in the field, in the palace, which is based on Mikdash, with Mashiach Tzidkenu B'Roshenu. I wish you all a very pleasant day and a good Elul. Shana Tova, Tikatev Tichatem. Shana Tova. Thank you very much.
Breaking news. Chabad of Rechavia is bringing Jerusalem to the entire world with Avram Fried, Aaron Rosel, Duvi Shapiro, Chief Chazan of the Jerusalem Great Synagogue, Tzvi Weiss, Gershon Wachtel, rapper Moti Flickstein, and the Pirchei Yerushalayim Choir. This year, many thousands of our regular guests from around the world will not be able to come. So we will bring the magical atmosphere of Jerusalem to the entire world. Sunday, September 6th, Chai Elul, Labor Day weekend, is the day. Send this short video to all your family and friends. All info is right here. www.bringingjerusalemtotheworld.com